Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Moving right along on here, this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Glenn West, go 24/7 with us. Coming up in 15 minutes, but right now let's chat with our guy Billy Embody from the On3 Network, a little LSU recruiting talk. Billy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. I actually want to start a non-LSU. I think everyone knows that you're on the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 Network covering LSU, but you also do some work for the SMU site as well. What are the vibes over there as they've potentially bought themselves into the ACC and the Power Five?
Yeah, well, it is mixed reviews right now after last weekend in Fort Worth. Look, there is the fact that SMU has had a history in college football, winning national championships, the Pony Express, all of that, Joke Walker, but they haven't, since the death penalty, been able to get back into the power conferences. And, there are a lot of other schools out there that are in them that you can debate how committed they are to winning. But SMU is certainly one of those schools that loves to spend money. And so they felt like this was a final lifeboat to get into a power conference, and it worked out. They're going to forego a bunch of money. They raised a bunch of money to make this happen, and so now they feel like with that seat at the table, they can maybe take that next step as a program. They've got the facilities, they've got a well-paid coaching staff. They've led the way kind of since NIL has come back into play, or I guess the modern history of NIL. But they haven't really gotten it done on the field, and they played Oklahoma, they played TCU in non-conference, and both games were winnable games, but they've come up short. So this past weekend was kind of a stark reminder that they still have to kick the door down on, winning big games against power conference opponents, especially since they're going into the ACC now. But there's optimism that now that they at least have this logo, they can recruit better, they can build a roster that's going to be more competitive, but they still need to get some winning done on the field. And in an AAC that is a little watered down this year, it wouldn't shock me if SMU and Tulane are playing for the championship come December. And, a lot of SMU folks are ready for that championship win to kind of come to fruition and send them off into the ACC the right way.
All right, let's talk some LSU recruiting. Obviously, now with 2 home games in the books, opportunity to get some folks on campus. And one player that was on campus, Terry Bussey, 5-star from Texas, and a guy that I think most have seen visiting A&M a good bit. But LSU got that visit right before the announcement is set. So is there any opportunity for LSU to make a last-second push there?
Yeah, I think with Terry Bussey, an East Texas kid who has gone through a lot in his life. He's lost a couple family members far too early, and so actually lives with a guardian situation. And I get the feeling that staying closer to that situation is probably a piece that's going to, probably carry the day a little bit for the Aggies. But LSU has been a program that hosted him back in June. It was a visit that he really wanted to make, and he was actually supposed to take his official in June before he had surgery on his knee, and so he couldn't really get around. He didn't want to, quite honestly, he didn't want to, be more of a burden than a visitor in June, at least the way he put it to me. He wanted to be able to move around and not have to be, catered to in that way. He's a very humble kid, a 4.0 student, just one of those great kids you kind of root for with everything he's been through. But right now it seems like Texas A&M has all the buzz around them, still coming off of official visits to Alabama and LSU. But we'll see if LSU in the final minutes can kind of turn this one back their way. But it has been kind of that idea that Texas A&M was going to get him, at least leaving the summer. But he did want to make a couple visits, and LSU got the last one. So we'll be kind of tracking it towards the final days here before his decision on Friday, but it does seem like A&M has most of the buzz.
Defensive line has been certainly a position of need in this cycle. LSU was close and not quite enough with Colin Simmons, a big 5-star. Dominic McKinley commits out of state from right here in Acadiana. And they're kind of looking at other options. It sounds like Gabriel Rilford might be one of those. He's from 318 up there in Shreveport. He's Evangel Eagle. Is there any chance that they could pry him away from his Texas A&M commitment?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. Getting him on campus was a nice step. I didn't get the sense that there was anything imminent coming in terms of a decommitment or a flip or anything like that. But in terms of the two that are in state, the two top defensive linemen that are top 100 prospects, in Dominic McKinley and Gabriel Rilford, there seems like there's a little bit more of maybe an opportunity to get Gabe Relaford, who's having a terrific senior season. He's following up a great junior season with that. But, A&M has done a really nice job getting him on board early. They were able to get his commitment in June. They had him back on campus in July. I believe he went back to A&M this month sometime as well. But LSU did get him on campus with his full family with him for the Grambling game, which was, something you want to see. You want to see LSU get these players, these targets, commits, whatever, on campus as much as you possibly can. And if he makes the return visit, which LSU does have an official visit in its back pocket, then maybe you see it become a little bit more serious. I know the offer did resonate with him, being a Louisiana kid, but he's also a young man that, made a commitment, and he and his family are pretty big on following things through. And so I think there's a door that could maybe get creaked open, but it's going to take a return visit. It's going to take, them keeping on him very, very hard and just showing him how big of a priority he is, because LSU did offer late. They offered in July. And I think that as big of a need as he is, he does have, relationships on the A&M side as well that are there. So they're going to keep swinging away on him, but at least you got him on campus once, which, makes it where you don't rule out him coming back.
You mentioned the need. Is there anywhere else LSU can turn for defensive linemen from the high school ranks, or does this sound like it's going to be a pretty heavy portal ad class with defensive linemen once again?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to go to the portal first and foremost. They just have to address the position that way with guys that can play right away. You're going to lose Jordan Jefferson at minimum, and so you need to bring in another big body in the middle to kind of help that depth, help that talent. But they do have Melvin Hills in state, who they're looking at from LCA, where he's committed to Texas. His teammate at Lafayette Christian is Juwan Johnson, who's committed to LSU. But I think they would probably be better served just going after somebody who's proven in the portal. We've seen what Jordan Jefferson can do on the field now that he's gotten more of an opportunity. I'd like to see him get a bigger one, and then you can kind of keep showing that to transfer targets and saying, hey, we have a need. We are not afraid to play you and give you opportunities. Just come in here and be a difference maker, because LSU needs them, and they need that depth and rotation, and we'll see what happens with Mason Smith, of course, as far as his future goes, whether he comes back or leaves early. But they need to go to the portal to get guys that can play right away for sure.
I'd hesitate to judge a staff on one recruitment here or there. I think the big picture is a far more relevant talking point. I know there are some that are a little disappointed with LSU's defensive line recruiting. We understand there's some situations on the coaching staff that have made that a little bit of an issue, but how would you assess LSU's defensive line recruiting in the Brian Kelly era here in year two?
Yeah, it needs to get better. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to, find a problem with me saying that. I don't think, but it's one of those things where, now that they have Jimmy Lindsey in that unfortunate situation, a lot of the guys are in the 24 class are going to certainly wonder, what is the future there? And I would imagine the staff is having some conversations there. I talked to Ahmad Bro, one of their commitments, on Friday, and he just said that they keep in touch, and he didn't want to go too far into that, but he said he loves Jimmy Lindsey and all those things. But when it comes down to it in the SEC, you've got to be able to get some of these high-level guys. George has also made a living off of some of those three-star guys panning out. But for LSU, they've got to find players that can develop into really big difference makers, because you have Demarion Johnson, you have Ahmad Bro, you have Kalaj Cobbins as a kind of an edge tweener commitment, but you need to find guys that have that high upside that if they're flying under the radar, you can bring them in, add weight, develop. They have that twitch. They it just seems for me that they currently have or will be getting, some more depth guys. You need to see that difference maker. Even you go back to like a Rashard Lawrence, who was a 5-star. He probably didn't live up to a 5-star billing, but he had that talent. He had that athleticism that made him be able to be a contributor. And those are the types of guys that you have to complement a true talent like a Mason Smith or a Calevon Chasson back in the day, in a way. And you've got to just be able to be all encompassing. And right now they haven't hit on all cylinders in that. So it's been a revolving door of defensive line coaches, which doesn't necessarily help either. But they've got to find a way to do what Brad Davis, quite honestly, has kind of done with that offensive line, where you've seen some continuity with him as the coach. He's gone out nationally and in Louisiana and gotten the guys that they've really targeted. He's cast a wide net. And, Brad has probably had, I would say, as far as his position goes, the most guys officially visit. And he's still coming away with, especially each of the last 2 years, a class that is, one, really good, and two, you've seen him hit on some of his top targets, both in-state and out-of-state, whereas, he's also shooting for the fence or shooting for the stars on some of these, super high-level prospects. But it's all kind of complemented each other well. So the defensive line, we got to see that.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.